You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton, here, hanging with you guys, and good morning. Well, guys, super excited about doing this podcast for you. This has been a topic that's been on my mind for probably a couple years now, to be honest with you. And here's what I wanted to do is just have a message. I don't know what the title of this podcast or what it ended up coming to be, but just a message to the parents. Just I wanted to have an honest conversation about college, the young guys that are starting their businesses, the growth that they're having, and just some quick suggestions or some tips or some takeaways that I've seen over the years talking to a bunch of these younger guys that have started a business of their own. The main reason for this podcast is the college question. I get asked this question, honestly, probably every single day, it feels like. Realistically, it's probably been a couple hundred times over the last 4 or 5 years that I've been making content on social media. And who am I, by the way, if you don't know who I am? I am, number one, I'm a nobody. I'm just another guy. But we are a lawn and landscaping company that we have up here in Metro Detroit, Michigan. Been in the green industry for 16, 17 years. Was the high school kid pushing a mower up and down the subdivision way back in the day. Cut grass for a couple years. Ended up in Little Caesars. Became a store manager. Went to True Greens, fertilizing lawns. Started my own lawn care business back at age 20. And I'm 36, been doing it for 16 years since, right? The interesting thing from there was we created some social media stuff with YouTube, have a YouTube channel, have a podcast, have an Instagram. Awesome, whatever. Okay, here's the thing. We have had a lot of people opt in and follow that are younger, especially in the last 4 or 5 years as the content's really kind of quote unquote blown up. And we're on Instagram and TikTok, and the younger audience is there, and they're watching the videos, and they're starting green industry businesses these last 5-6 years. Before I came along, and since I've came along, of course. And it's cool to see what these young guys are putting together out there. And young guys and girls, by the way, starting a green industry business of their own: lawn care company, landscape company, hardscape company, fertilizer company, so on and so forth. So what I wanted to do for just a couple quick minutes is I wrote down, let me see here, a list of about 8 to 10 takeaways from the teenager tour that I did this summer. So I went around the country, interviewed 6 different young gentlemen that all run their own business in different parts of Michigan and across the country. And I wrote down 8 or 10 takeaways that these young guys all have in common that are young entrepreneurs, young business owners, but these character elements that I wanted to communicate to all of you parents out there that want to. Let's just be real for a quick second. You want your kids to win. You want your kids to grow up. You want your kids to succeed. You want them to be able to financially be independent, to take care of themselves, to be socially integrated, to not come out like a crazy isolated weirdo person, right? If we can just call a spade a spade. And somebody who's a parent now, I have a 15-month-old baby girl. I get it. I'm more hypersensitive to it, more hyper aware. All of our content has always been very conservative in our approach, from equipment to debt to financial to social to political. My wife and I are very conservative, very traditional people, if you will. And what I wanted to do is piggyback on that a little bit more and talk about the fact that your kids are in good hands, okay, is what I wanted to say. Because to go back to the question I get 100 times before, should my kid go to college? I want my kids to go to college. My kid's not interested in going to college. Brian, can you help me? And of course, as you know, I know the decision is on that young person, that young man, that young girl at 17, 18, 19, whether or not they should go to college. Or more specifically, or even more broadly speaking, I should say, is will college be the meal ticket for them to be successful? And success is relative, right? It means one thing to one person. It means something different to another person. But so many parents are coming to me, and I would imagine other social media people, if you will, and saying, hey, like my kid has this business, but I want him to let it go because I want them to go to college. Or I just don't know if this thing's going to actually pan out or play out to take care of them. What's your thoughts? And so I wanted to just break that down over the next 10, 20, 30 minutes while I got you guys. I don't have any like trying to get you to go one way, anything or in between. I just want to have a conversation. A lot of my content is just open mic therapy sessions. But this really stemmed, and this is a conversation that I wanted to put together for probably about a month now, is we went to a annual national trade show and conference called Equip Expo in Louisville, Kentucky. And about 2 or 3 different times, very heavy conversation, very bold, very direct conversations where mom and dad, and then maybe another mom and dad couples and people were asking me directly with their kids there in front of them, Brian, tell my kids to go to college. Another one, Brian, do you think my kids should go to college? Brian, what's your thoughts on college? That was like literally the 3 conversations. And I'm like, and of course it's in a public forum, right? And so, and all my beliefs are very public. Everybody knows where I stand on a lot of stuff. Maybe you're a new listener to the show or your kid sent you this. I don't know. Most of the people listening to my content know how I'm going to probably respond, but the parents don't. So the parents are like, hey, what's your thoughts? And I'm like, well, what's your thoughts, number one, on college? So let me get a couple of the obligatories out of the way, right? Some common sense things that you guys probably know and believe, I know and believe. It's pretty tried and true. We kind of get it these days. But then I want to go over these 8 or 10 takeaways that I got from all these young guys that they all have in common, that it's just interesting. They all have these 8 or 10 similarities, but they're all different. They're all in different regions, all different ages, all different backgrounds, right? All different parts of the country, but yet they all are turning out very, very similar in nature. And here's my point. Here's my takeaway. If you want your kids to wind up like this would be my suggestion, would be to maybe encourage your kids to keep doing what they're doing if they want to go all in a lawn and landscaping business. Let's talk about the obligatories really quick. I'm not anti-college. I'm not down on college. I'm not saying college is a scam out loud. But what I will say is the writing is on the wall, right? We all know that back in 1970, whatever, if one person went to college and one person didn't, they would make a couple $1 million more in their lifetime. Okay, we all get that. So it was a good investment for a college degree for $1,500 or $5,000 or $10,000. Instead of being a factory worker making, $4.75 an hour, you could be white collar making $18 an hour or whatever, right? You guys get it. High school people making 20, 30 grand a year, you live in paycheck to paycheck. The other camp, white collar America executives making 60, 80, 100 grand a year, 200 grand a year, whatever. Okay. We all get that.
Lawns, landscaping, and outdoor awesomeness, that's what your business does best. Managing your vehicles and optimizing efficiency with the latest technology is what we do best. GPS Track It provides a 24/7 view of where your company vehicles are and how efficiently they're operating, saving you time and money. With more than 12,000 customers, GPS Track It has delivered peace of mind for lawn and landscaping companies for 20 years. Ready to protect your vehicles and save money? Talk with one of our fleet advisors. There's no pressure, no hassles. Call 833-385-0252 or visit gpstrackit.com/BrianLM to learn more. Those details are in the show notes. GPS Track It.
That was the same conversation in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and then in the 90s. And then in the 2000s, something happened. The internet came around, technology came around, iPhones are around, all this other stuff is around. Your TikToks, your Facebooks, and then YouTube. And the world drastically changed, the information age, right? Things drastically changed. But what didn't change was academia, was the education system. It was the same Prussian style of education, bringing out little foot soldiers, busting the creativity out of them between middle school and high school, just casting them in the same mold of being a good factory worker. And working on the lines, whatever that means to you, working on the lines, working in the mills, working in the mines, okay? And with technology, you have the world hasn't been able to be suppressed as much as it used to, right? These kids these days can get on their phone, whether they're 8, 10, 12, whatever. They get on their iPhone, they get on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and the world is literally at their fingertips outside of the Googles and all the other things, Reddits that they can search. And anything they want, how to make money, how to get rich, how to make $1,000 as a teenager, how to make $1,000 a day, push mowing lawns. All this kind of stuff. And pick your thing. How to sell T-shirts on Instagram. How to be a YouTuber. How to be an Instagram influencer. Whatever. And the way they make money is just different. The way they approach life is just going to be different. And I'm not saying that they can't get a traditional 9-to-5, being a banker at Chase Bank, but the world has changed. Okay, so here's one other obligatory I wanted to say really quick. We're just going to get into it. Is I don't disagree that if your kid wants to go and be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, that they probably should get a college degree. I mean, I think that's pretty safe to say, pretty fair bet for anybody listening to the show. Anti-college, pro-college, parent, kid, whatever. If you want to go operate on people and be a brain surgeon, I would pray that that person went to school for 8 to 10, 12 years and then specialized for another 8 to 10, 12 more years. Can I get an amen? So I don't want anybody to think, Brian, you're anti-college. None the case, okay? What I am anti is people still thinking that college exclusively is the meal ticket. And again, most parents will say, well, I don't exclusively believe college is the meal ticket. But what I do want is to make sure that my kid still goes to school. So there's always that asterisk from the parents these days. Like, no, of course there's Facebook and YouTube, but I just want them to have that college degree. I want them to have that plan B, that fallback, that backup plan, that safety net. And of course, my question is always, why? Why? Why do you want your kid to have a backup plan? Why do you want your kid to have a safety net? Why do you want your kid to have a backup plan? No successful human being operates that way. That is just stupid language that needs to get thrown out of your repertoire. If I was married, which I am, if I'm married and I said, hey, I have a plan B for my marriage, you would think that's crazy. Right? If I have a kid and I was not happy with the fact that we were pregnant or had a kid and I had a plan B, or I could pull the plug, I'm not even going to go down that whole route. That would not be, my belief is that is not an option. Okay. It's not an option to not be that parent. It's not an option to not be a good spouse. There's no D word in my wife and I's relationship. Okay. We don't even joke about it. It's not even a word in the repertoire. It's not even a conversation we have. It's one of us is leaving this rock before we are divorced. Okay. So let me keep going, because I just want to throw that in there too, because the parents are like, oh, no, you can still be successful outside of this, but I just want them to have that backup plan degree. And my question is, again, why? Now, here's the deal. College isn't the same that it used to be in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, 90s, and 2000s when the parents, you guys listening and maybe listening to this, when it was for you. Today, a college degree is $40,000, $60,000, $80,000, $100,000, $200,000 to go make an extra $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a year. Well, no, Brian, like after 10, 15 years, you pay your dues, you're going to make, $80,000, $100,000, $200,000. Right. But I can make the same argument that the kid that just goes to work at the warehouse, that just climbs the tree, does a good job, he becomes management in 5 to 7 years, is on the same trajectory. It's ambition, not the degree, that got both of them to that higher earning income level anyway. Now, the one guy might have started at a level 2 after a college degree, and the other guy was a start, level 1. But after 4 years, the warehouse factory worker guy is now a level 2, and the level 2 guy comes in, but the level 2 guy from college, he has $60,000 in student loan debt. The level 1 guy not only made 30, 40, 50 grand a year working in the warehouse, he's made a couple $100,000, got his life started, has real life skills, real life experience, has real life responsibilities because he probably has a girlfriend or a fiance or is already married and maybe has a kid on the way, and understands more about life at 20, 22, 23 than the kid coming out of school that, went to the French Riviera on a little, soiree for his senior year for 6 months and has literally never made $1 in his life and can't even hold down a part-time job at Starbucks. And I'm not trying to get into it. I'm just talking out loud, right? Think practically. Which kid would you rather have? The one that's 22, making 40, 50 grand and probably bought his first little starter home ranch for $180,000, or your 22-year-old that is sucking off the fat of the land and probably hasn't had any real obligations or responsibility other than to get a 3.0 at your state college, which basically he's, went for his bachelor and master's in beer drinking and ping pong and chasing girls, and probably couldn't even tell you anything that he's learned from his college degree. Okay. Also, we all know, and we've all heard, that by the time you graduate college, what you learn in your first and second year of college is already irrelevant in most industries by the time they become their senior year. That's how fast the world is working with technology, okay? So there's the obligatories, right? I'm not against college. It's just, it's not the same financial investment that it was for most parents in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and 2000s. So these are my opinion, okay? These are like factual things you can look up, okay? And then number 2, the world's changed. There's different ways to make money. These kids doing lawn care, landscaping, and entrepreneurism, right, of their own. They're entrepreneurial minded. These kids are figuring it out. They're making $20,000, $50,000, $80,000, $100,000. I can introduce you to kids that at 17, 18 in high school are making $400,000, $500,000 gross businesses, making $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 net profit. That's wild. That's awesome. That's crazy. It's something to pay attention to. Okay, so here's what I want to do is, I don't want parents listening in or you guys listening in to just think, look, dude, it's college or bust. And I don't think anybody's totally saying that these days. But when I was at Equip Expo, I had a couple parents, I want my kid to go to college. And I'm like, why? Like, well, I want them to be successful. I'm like, well, they already are. They have a $70,000 a year lawn and landscaping business. They're 18 while still going to high school. Yeah, I know, but I want them to have a college degree. I'm like, why? Well, because I want them to be an engineer. Why? Well, because I want them to be respected. Oh, okay. Right. So now we're peeling back the layers of the onion, and I'm not trying to get a gotcha moment. I'm just like, oh, okay. So you think that they're going to be more respected in society because they're an engineer than they are digging ditches, right? Landscaper, hardscaper, irrigation guy, person, a landscape architect. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Now we can have those real conversations that you want your kids to be having a college degree and tell everybody at the dinner table and the dinner parties that your kid went to Michigan State or Indiana State or Florida Central, whatever, and they're a doctor, they're a lawyer, they're an engineer. And I've gotten a lot of that from the Gary Vee. You can tell, most parents are still fulfilling their ambitions through their kids. And then you get this kid who is I don't want to say a victim. He is held ransom in your household at 16, 17, 18 years old. And all you've done is beat into him. You need to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or you won't make enough money, or you won't be successful, or you won't be respected, or you won't have a nice car, or you'll live paycheck to paycheck. Right. And that's just a wrong approach. It's just a wrong approach. It's like the whole, I want to give my kids the things they didn't have. No. You should give the kids the experiences and the thought process that you never have, not the material things. Because most kids that have all the material things, they're miserable. They couldn't care less. They wanted time with mom and dad, right? All right, so that led me on this whole conversation because when I was at Equip Expo, I had some parents really drill me. They're like, well, I want my kids to be successful, and I want my kids to be, and I'm like, duh. Of course you want your kids to be socially integrated, to be financially stable, to be able to stand on their own 2 feet, okay? What I think the real conversation is also is, can my kids actually make money in this field? Can my kids make money in this industry, right? Because when you're a parent and you're a very successful chef or a restaurant owner or a hotel person, business owner, or you're a dentist or a doctor or a lawyer, or you're just a homemaker and the husband's, six-figure real estate producer and income earner. Fantastic. And you're, stay-at-home housemaker and wife and all that fun stuff. Fantastic. And you want to make sure that your kids are successful and they're out mowing grass. Help me out here. The personification of the high school kid that's the push out druggie, he's vaping, he's a loser, he's high school educated, maybe. He's always got a beard, he's wearing Carhartt, and just like the most stereotypical construction worker kind of guy. And that's what you think is just on the mower all day long, making $15 an hour. And I have been doing my best for 5 years to elevate the industry and to say that's not true. That is not these guys listening to my show. That's not these guys listening to other people's podcast shows. That is not other people that I know in the industry. That I did not meet one scruffy, bummy, loser-esque looking dude at the trade show that I went to 3 weeks ago where there's 25,000 people there. Everybody had clean jeans, a nice button-up or flannel, a nice polo, a nice t-shirt, belts tucked in t-shirts. Everyone's wearing belts, nice work boots, dirty but clean work boots. Nobody had duct tape on anything. Clean shaven, well spoken, look you in the eye, firm handshake, no floppy dead fish in the palm of your hand, kind of a weirdo handshake. Americana, patriotic, God-fearing, God-loving, conservative, not confused if they're whatever or whatever else kind of people. Okay. And that was refreshing. And so that's the people that the audience that's listening in, maybe your kid, your son or daughter is watching this content. That's who they want to be. That's who they want to grow up with. And you're like, yeah, but college is the way that gets you there. Well, here's the thing. Let me just get into my list here. I told one of the parents, I said, give me some latitude here, but broadly speaking, and if you don't like this opinion, frankly, I don't really care. I don't build my audience to get subs and followers or views or money. Okay, I just talk truth. If you hate it, that's on you. If you like it, welcome to the brotherhood. Okay, but here's the reality. I told a couple parents, I said, do you think your kids have a better chance of coming out how I just suggested by building a business of their own, or coming out of college, broadly speaking, being a very communist, Marxist, socialistic, dyed hair, hates this country, doesn't believe in capitalism, doesn't love themselves, doesn't respect their parents, doesn't have any faith or any faith left in them by the time they come out of a college, university, or a college setting. Can we talk about that for just a quick second? Can we just be observationists? Can we be fruit inspectors? Can we just look at the fruit on the tree? I forget the stat, but it's something like 92% of people, by the way, 80% of all stats are, I think, made up on the spot, but 92% of people that come out, that go into into college at like 18, come out without having the same values and faith that they had going in just 4 years. That's what the university and the college system does, at least in America, just brainwashes these kids. Okay. And you're like, no, I'm going to send my kid to Christian university, and I'm going to send my kid to this Christian university or this conservative college. I'm telling you, even there, because here's my example, and I'm telling you as a parent to a parent, and we're going through the mill here right now too, but I went from public school to no way to we'll go to charter school to no way to then private school. Then I'm like, no way. Hey, we're going to go to Christian school, Christian private education school to we're exclusively doing homeschool with our kids. All the life we have going on, all the whatever we got going on, lawn landscaping business. I would work a second job at Wendy's. I would Uber nights and weekends to make whatever income we had to do, if I had to make sure that my wife never had to work a job, so she could be a stay-home mom, stay-home homemaker, and we could hire tutors and people and do whatever we got to do to have our kids be stay-at-home kids, homeschool kids that are still well-adjusted by homeschool networks. With teams and athletes and school and curricula to make sure that they're still well adjusted, okay? That is not what your kid is going to wind up like if you send them typically to a college university. Because I asked this lady, she was like getting all in my grill, and God bless her, she was a super nice lady, super cool, just a fun conversation, we're just spitballing. And of course, I got 30 people around me that are like part of the posse, right? Like they believe how I believe and I believe how they believe. And this mom, and she wasn't anti anything, but she was just like, well, I just think my kids should go to college. I go, why? Well, I want them to be successful. I go, I look at the kids, I go, do you want to go to college? And there was two 17-year-old, teenage boys, maybe 17 and 18. I said, do you guys want to go to college? And they're both shaking their head, no, sir. And I said, do you guys, she goes, well, I want them to be successful. I said, do you guys want the same success that your mom is projecting? And they go, no, we think totally different. And I said, what else? I said, are you guys, how's your business doing? They said, oh, we're doing like $70,000. And I said, you guys split that? They said, yeah. I said, you guys still in school? They go, yeah. They're still in school doing creating $70,000 in revenue business, which isn't a ton, but it's a great start for kids living at home. And I told the mom, I said, what's the issue? How much more money do they need to make, or how much more successful do they need to be to make you happy, or for you to think that they're succeeding or winning? Right? Like what's the measuring stick here? How much do you make, mom? How much does your husband make? And I wasn't being a jerk or a tough guy, and I didn't say that, but I'm thinking, how much are you actually making? If you're making 50 and they're making 30, you're like, they need to go to college. I'm like, they need to get 8 more lawn customers and they'll make another 10, 20 grand. Like, give me a break. Okay. And they're in high school working 25 hours, 30 hours, 40 hours going to school. Like, imagine if they had that back to people to reinvest and pour back into their business. I digress. But I told the mom, I said, do you think your kids are going to come out raging liberal idiots out of a 4-year university degree in college setting? Or do you think they're going to be patriotic, capitalist-loving, fight for America, conservative people, coming out of college? And the mom goes, well, she goes, you got me there. She goes, anybody with a brain cell would agree that your kids coming out of college today are communist little crazies, okay? And I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying 70, 80, 90%. Why would you even put your kids in an environment that has an 80% success rate of turning your kids into Marxist, socialistic, little commie bastards? Okay. Why would you even play with fire? Right? If I told my wife I'm going to go to the strip club and there's an 80% chance that I might see something inappropriate, what do you think my wife is going to say? She's going to cut my head off, or worse. And I might not have a wife by the end of the night. You know what I'm saying? Because she's packing up the bags, the kids, and she's out of here. Why would you play with fire? Why would you put your kids in an environment where they have an 80% chance of coming out and being changed, where you have no influence, no supervision, no accountability, no nothing? Why would you even play with fire? Why would you let your husband go to the strip club? You wouldn't. You wouldn't with your husband going out. You wouldn't give if you give your kid to this relative, they have 80%, or this person, this crazy person on the street, they have an 80% chance of being molested. But you know what? 20% chance that they won't. Yeah, but there's an 80% chance that they could. Yeah, but there's a 20% chance that they won't. God bless you if you want to play with those odds with your family, your seed, your bloodline, your last name, your kids that you sowed hundreds of thousands of dollars and hundreds of thousands of hours into to teach them how to be good people. In 3-4 years, because of the idiots around them, they're going to change the way your kid thinks. That's on you. That's on you. I'm not putting my kids in those environments. Not in 2022. Not in 2021. I bet you ain't going to get any better in 23, 24, 25, 26. I'm just saying. There is a shift amongst this world. And you do not want to be playing with fire like that, okay? So I hope you guys give me a little bit of latitude to just talk frank, okay? Because this is not Brian's right, Brian's wrong. These are people. These are kids' lives. These are kids' futures. And I take this really, really serious. I'm not here to paint a dream. Go mow grass. It's going to be easy. It's hard work running a business. There's a lot to learn. But it's not unachievable or inachievable by any way, shape, or form that these kids could chisel out a 50, 80, 100, $200,000 a year business in 12, 18, 24, 36 months and have a decent income, a decent lifestyle. Where they go from there is up to them. If they want to get involved in investing in real estate and having rental properties and investing in their education or growing the next $5, $10 million regional business, that's all wide open. And by the way, I'm not saying your kid that goes to college can't jump ship at 22 and then start his business. I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying, if you think your kid's going to learn something exclusive at a college environment that he can't learn on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, a mastermind, a live event, a phone call, a coaching call, or a mentor, it's just a different world than what maybe some of us were experienced or exposed to if you're 30, 35, 40 years old and above, right? It's just a different world with the information age and technology, okay? I want to just share a couple quick thoughts here that I had was the teenager tour. So these are just some takeaways. I'm not saying all these kids exclusively were like this. I'm not putting words in their mouth. I'm not projecting anything on them. I'm just talking frankly. Here's some observations. I did a teenager tour. I did 6 stops, 6 different regions, 6 different spots. The age groups were literally 15, 16, 17, 18, I think 19 and 20. Or 18 and 18, and then I think I had a 20-year-old in there, okay? He kind of slid in the radar. He was like 19, like 2 weeks before. So my friend Christian. But nonetheless, here are some quick takeaways, okay? And let me ask you this. Parents, put this through your brain, my friend always says, filter it through a brain cell. That's called thinking. And I'm not trying to be rude, but filter this through a brain cell. Would your kids like to come out Antifa thugs or crazy liberals with, college experience, or even coming out $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 in debt with a degree in gender studies and becoming a barista at Starbucks, or a patriotic little American kid coming out with a lawn and landscaping company, digging holes, laying power lines, laying conduit, mowing grass, putting in landscaping, a forever in need industry and service. As we've all found, it's very essential because the industry exploded when the world shut down. Okay. Let me go through this. Number one, all these kids, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20 years old, whatever, all different regions, all different backgrounds, all different social and economics. Some of the kids have poor families. Other kids have well-off families. Some of them have very well-off families. Okay. I mean, more money than what you guys are thinking times 5 times 10. Okay. Interestingly enough, they all had these same derivatives, these same values or attributes, right? Number one, I wrote down, they all had purpose. There wasn't a single one of these kids that and I call them kids, but teenagers, but there wasn't one of these teenagers that I talked to that didn't have purpose, right? You could see it in their eye. They were building, they were growing, they were achieving, they were accomplishing, they were accumulating, right? They had purpose. They knew what they were doing. They weren't confused. They weren't apathetic. They weren't deciding if they should commit suicide. And I'm not being funny. I'm just saying, literally, they weren't a tumbleweed, just getting blown around by life or circumstances or politics or peer pressure. Okay, these kids had purpose. These people were 15, 16, 18 years old. They were rock solid. People around them we're leaning on them for help and leadership. And they're not perfect. They're kids, okay? They're teenagers. But let this build for 5-10 years, and you're going to have the future of America, okay? Number 2, I'll just rip through these quick. Financial discipline. Okay, all these kids had financial discipline in one way, shape, or form. They understood money in. They understood money going out. They understood reinvesting. They understood that they're going to have to put in some money to buy some equipment, to then work their butts off to pay it off, and then to get ahead, right? They understood sweat equity. They understood debt. They understood financing a $7,000 mower, and whether their parents helped them out or not and co-signed on it, who cares? But the kids are paying this $180 a month note, 0% on 36. The parents encouraging the dream. The parents like, whatever. Kid, flakes out. I guess we got a nice mower to mow our property. Whatever. Okay, buy a little $3,000 Toro time cutter at Home Depot or Lowe's. They get it. I get it. You get it. We get it. But these kids understand financial discipline. They understand the value of a $600 leaf blower. They understand the value of working $20 mows and $40 mows and $80 mows and slinging mulch. Right? These kids understood the cost of a $1,000 trailer, and they were happy when they bought stuff. They appreciated these things. These kids were peacocking, right? My wife calls it peacocking. All of our grandparents lately, they're peacocking with the baby. But these kids are peacocking with their new mower. They put it on Instagram. They put it on Facebook. They keep it. They wash it. They might buy a 2005 Chevy Silverado, whatever. It's got 180,000 miles on it. Let's be real. It's got four rims and 4 tires that, may or may not match. A little bit of rust here, a little bit of rust there. But these kids will wash and polish that thing every day, if not every weekend, and make it look as nice as it can. They vacuum out the floorboards. They vinyl shine the vinyl seats. You know what I mean? They put the Armor All on the tires. That might be bald, but at least they're trying. Okay. They appreciate things. They have financial discipline. They have money in the bank. Most of these kids I'm talking to, they had 1, 2, 5, 10 grand cash in their checking account. They're 16. And I've heard a stat, like more 18-year-olds have more cash on hand and cash in the bank than most 30-year-olds. I would believe that. The older I get, and my life has been up and down, and left and right. We've been broke, we've been rich. Not rich, but more financially well off, right? I get it. I definitely had more money in my pocket at 17, 18, 19, 20 with my little starter lawn care business than I ever did in my late 20s, early 30s. I'll tell you that. Most of these kids, they have a couple bucks to their name. It's pretty impressive. Number 3, people skills. These kids know how to talk. They know how to sell. They know how to communicate a thought. I do YouTube videos. They're not like, I don't know what to say, right? These kids were like, hey guys, Brian here, Brian's Lawn Maintenance. Hope you guys are doing well. We're going to jump into it here. I'm hanging with my friend Henrik. Henrik, tell me what's going on, man. Hey, Brian, I'm pumped up, man. Life is good. I'm kicking butt. I got 2 new mowers here. The crew's doing good. We got 68 accounts. We're kicking butt. School's tough, but I'm doing my best there. I'm keeping my mom and dad, happy, keeping my mom proud. But we're kicking butt. Just bought a new Camaro here, and I just bought my second truck, and I'm working really, really hard. But Brian, thanks so much for having me on this thing. They're respectful. They look you in the eye. They know how to talk. They know how to communicate. Let me just give you a quick, let's play good cop, bad cop. Go look at the other 15, 16, 18-year-old kid that's not working, that doesn't have a job, it's on their iPhone. They want all the nice stuff, but they don't want to work for it. They can't look you in the eye. They don't go to a wedding. They don't dance because they have no self-image, right? They're leaning against the wall. They don't go to the teenager dances at 15, 18, at middle school and high school. They're the loner kids. None of these kids, I'm not saying they're the cool kids. I'm just saying they know how to have fun, right? They have people skills. They know how to talk. Yes, sir. No, sir. Thank you. Please. Yes. No, they know how to sell, or they're learning how to sell. And they mess up. They're not perfect, but these kids, they know how to sell a $2,000 mulch and landscape job. They're talking to 30-year-old adults. And I don't care if it's the head pastor at their little community church and they get this little, $100 weekly mow, like it's an inn. These kids are still selling to 30-year-old professional adults a $5,000 landscape solution. They're 17 years old. I know 30-year-olds that can't talk. I go to weddings and I'm always sitting, at a table just like you guys do with 8 other people or 6 other people with you and this little wifey for lifey. And I'm like, hey, what do you do? And you talk to an engineer. He's like, I'm an engineer at Ford Motor Company. And I'm like, do you like what you do? Oh, I just love graphing paper. And I'm like, what is wrong with this guy? And I look at his wife and she's just like a quiet, depressed little cherub. And her husband is a loser. and just, they might make 50, 60, 80,000, but he can't talk. She's not happy because he's not fun. Dude, you guys see it all the time. Here's another, for instance, go to a dinner table, put 6 business owners at one table, put 6 engineers, and I'm not putting down engineers, I'm just saying, like, put 6 other engineers at another table. Which table, I'm going to give you 2 guesses. You're only going to need one. Which table is going to be way more fun and be the life of the party? The entrepreneurial, self-employed, crazy war stories, life is up, down, left, and right, relatability like crazy. The conversation is not even in the same galaxy, right? These young kids, the conversation is not even in the same galaxy of the people skills that they have, the values that they have. Okay. Another one, planning and time management. These kids have mastered the ability to run a business and still have the family obligations, the sports obligations, church obligations, and of course their academic obligations. Okay. I would contrast that to your kid that wants to go to college and he can't even make class. He can't even juggle at class and working part-time at the car wash. And it's almost like he's I don't want to say a lost cause or helpless, but like you can't teach these kids at 18, 19, 20, 22, 24 how to be productive members of society. This stuff happens. You can make the case at 15, 17, 18 years old, but we all know this happens at 7, 8, 9 years old. Okay, like the character of most children is formed by the time they're 7 years old. By the way, all these kids that I'm talking to you about, they were 15, 17, 18 years old, kicking butt now. Every single one of them was wrenching with their dads, cutting the lawn at 5 and 7 and on the lawnmower seat with dad, or cutting the rural property with the little Skag mower, at 7, 8 years old, right? Like that's what these guys were doing at a young age, way before they started their business in their teenage years. And if you opted out of that and your kid didn't do that in the first, 5, 6, 7, 10 years of their life, good luck trying to get them to do it at 15, 18. And you're just not going to be able to pour enough into them at 18, 19, 20 to be able to help them become more successful. I mean, that's just, it's semi-depressing talking about it out loud, like it's a therapy session, but I'm just, again, talking out loud here, okay? These kids, they're really good at managing things. They get off of school at 2:00. They're like, hey, I got 6 lawns to cut. I got 5 lawns on Thursday and 3 lawns on Friday. That way I can still make my family's, obligation on Friday night. We do family dinner at 7. I've got track practice on Saturday at 6 because I got my meet, or whatever. I got a track meet. And then Sunday I got church at, 10 a.m. 11 a.m., 11:15 service, right? Like before church, I'm going to go sharpen my lawnmower blades, go to church with the family. We do breakfast. We're out for 3 hours. And then from 2:00 in the afternoon until 6:00, I got to go mow 8 more lawns. Like these kids get it. They're scheduled. They have a calendar on their phone filled out. Like that's crazy. That's crazy. I know 20-year-olds that can't even figure it out. They can't show up on time. They're always late. They're missing appointments. It's wild. Another couple derivatives real quick. I'm going to rip through these. They value education. You can't get your kid to show up to college because he's going to school to learn about gender studies. He doesn't care, or he's going to go be an engineer. He barely cares. He's not passionate about being an electrical engineer. You go on the other end of the spectrum. These young kids, you couldn't even quantify how many hundreds of hours that these kids are just digesting information on Facebook groups, YouTube videos, TikTok, Instagram, coaching calls, training programs, books, knowledge, hanging out with friends, talking shop. You're like, oh, are they out in the back, smoking weed? No, these kids are talking about how to do lawn care work and landscaping work. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They value education. Okay. These kids are passionate about this topic too, right? I mean, like they get up early. They're watching YouTube videos at 6 a.m. to learn how to lay stripes and mow grass and be a landscaper. And the parents are like, stop watching YouTube videos. You're on your phone all the time. Right, because they're passionate about a topic and they're getting the information and the knowledge. How could you be against that? Well, I don't want my kids having screen time. No, you don't want your kids having unproductive screen time. I don't want my kids rotting their brain. Right, they're not rotting their brain. They're investing in themselves by being on their device, learning skill sets. Praise Jesus. Get them a newer iPhone. Get them an iPad. Get them an iPad here. Get them an iPad there. Get them a cell phone subscription. Get them a whatever they need to encourage that. You're like, well, my kid picked up a hockey stick and started slapping some, wrist shots into the net in the backyard. If your little dude, your little boy, Start showing appreciation for hockey. What do? Oh, he's the next Wayne Gretzky. Let's get him some Coho sticks, some Coho skates, some Eddie Bauers, some whatever. I don't even know the brands anymore, right? Been out of it for a while. You get the little cherub hockey lessons, private coach, an athletic coach. You get him a nutrition coach. You get him a personal trainer. The dude picked up the stick one time and shot a lava rock into the trash bin, and you think he's going to be Fedorov. Your son or daughter picks up their phone, they watch a couple of their favorite lawn care YouTubers, and you say, lawn care people are trash. They don't make any money. You don't want to do that. It's one notch above being a garbage man. You don't need to watch Andy Mulder Outdoors. He's laying bricks. What a loser that guy is. As he's paying cash for $200,000 excavators, $90,000 excavators, $100,000 Isuzu rigs, doing a 7-digit plus job. Yep. Big L for the Mulder Outdoor Group. Shout out to my boy Andy. Okay. And I'm being a little facetious here. I'm being a little bit of a jerk, a little bit of a butt. I get it. But think about it out loud. You would love if your kid showed any interest in becoming a better whatever. And then all of a sudden he wants to go mow grass. And you're like, hey, that's for losers. I will assure you, the people listening to my podcast show are anything but. They're very successful people or aspiring to be successful. They might be struggling, but they're figuring it out. And the ones that have figured it out are I would bet you that I'd love to do a poll, but I bet you a third to a half of the people listening to my show make $100,000 a year plus. And we get 100,000 downloads a month on our show. That's a lot of people making a lot of money. And I'm not saying $100,000 is a lot of money, but you can live, you can pay your bills. You can go get, double meat at Chipotle. That's okay. All right, let's keep it going. They're leaders, not followers. All these kids, all these teenagers, all these young guys. Here's my message to the parents. Would you rather your kid in life be a follower or a leader? Oh, hopefully they're a follower of Christ. But other than that, I hope they're a leader everywhere else, right? Because I don't want my kids to follow. I want my kids to trend set. I want my kids to lead. I want my kids to be the tip of the spear. I want them to get picked first. I want them to be the best, right? I don't want them to be average. I don't want them to be mediocre, right? I want them to be winners. I want them to be out front. I want them to be leading and influencing. More specifically, why do I want them to be a leader? I want them to be a leader for somebody else to rely on. You don't just be a leader to be a leader and say, I'm a leader. You're a leader because you're a server, right? How do you spell leader? EXAMPLE, right? These kids are leaders. They're brothers, they're sisters, they're peer group, they're friends, they're buddies, they're pals, they're bros, they're sisters, they're cuz, depending on your demographic. These kids have those people leaning on them for a job, for employment, for tips, for suggestion, for hard times, for rocky situations, for some kid picks up vaping, and the kids that I interview would say, knock that off. You don't need the vape. Some kid picks up, 17, he finds his dad's beer stash or smoke stash and he starts doing whatever. And these kids would be the kids that say, dude, you're not vaping in my truck while we go mow lawns. Yeah, dude, it's the cool thing to do. All my friends, they got blue, wild berry, cherry, razz and dazzle from the vape shop because it's all marketed to kids like that. These kids that I've interviewed, they would smack that right out of their hand. And by the way, you guys listening in, if you're not putting down the law like that, you need to be, okay? I'm just giving you a quick tip. I'd rather you lose a friend than have a friend on your crew disrespect you and make you look worse. So don't tolerate that. Okay, quick tip to young guys listening in. Parents, would you rather have your kids be followers or leaders? These kids that I'm talking about, the kids that want to start their own business and they want to take it to the front, they're leaders, not followers. I can do this for a long time. By the way, they're employing their friends. I know kids and teenagers that are listening to the show. I call them kids, but 15 to 22. Some of these kids are employing their parents. The parents are like, haha, that thing, not haha, but okay, go ahead, kid, have fun. A couple years later, like, hey, dude, I'm bringing in a couple $100,000 a year. Can you help me manage this thing? You want to handle a division? You want to handle a certain route? You want to parent gets laid off or parent retires and they're like, yeah, I got some time. I know I can give you a dozen examples of kids and teens employing or hiring or part-time hiring their parents to help them out and grow this business. And it's becoming a family business. How much more do you think that's bringing the family unit together? Right? You want your kid to, you're a real estate agent, the husband's a real estate agent, the wife is a nurse, and you send your kid to be an electrical engineer. Right? He went to out-of-state college, you went to community college, and your husband never got a college degree because he's, just doing 6-figure sales in real estate. What kind of relatability is at that dinner table? Hey, what's new? Oh, man, I could tell you, but you wouldn't really get it. Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. And what a boring conversation. How's the meatloaf? That's where you go after that. Versus you're a family and you have, he runs the business. The wife's runs the business too. She's in HR and whatever part of the company. You're in ops and sales, and the kids are working in the business, right? Like, what a crazy, awesome family conversation that would be every day. Another couple quick ones here, and I'm going to just kind of land the plane here, but they're productive. They're not idle. They're not idle. We all know idleness is the devil's playground, or whatever the saying is. These kids are not idle. These kids don't get into trouble or get into far less trouble because they don't have any free time, right? When you start having free time and you're not productive, non-productive time, because nobody really has any spare time or free time. But when you have non-productive time, you start wandering. You have wandering eyes. You have wandering ears. You have wandering interests. Okay, so you want to help your kids stay away from stuff they shouldn't be doing, stuff they shouldn't be looking at, stuff that you don't want them to get involved with. They're doing that when they have idle time. When you have 50 lawns to mow and you got rain coming on Saturday and you got a family obligation on Sunday, these kids do not have spare time. They do not have time to get involved in the stupid things when they have work to do. Okay, that's a huge one. Sorry, my throat's a little gone here, guys. I've already done a couple podcasts today. So here, last two things I wrote down. Number one, they're critical thinkers. They know how to problem solve, or they're learning to problem solve. They're solution oriented. When a mower goes down, they grab zip ties, duct tape, a welding gun. I don't know, what do you call it? A welding thing. They call a friend. They call a buddy, and they jerry rig something together. They just figure it out. They're critical thinkers. They can problem solve. Money's tight. They figure out how to make something work. Their equipment's expanding, but they don't have anywhere to put it. And all of a sudden, they find a friend of a friend who's got a barn, and then they're able to work out of that barn. The amount of problems that these kids can solve is astounding because they have so much creativity, because the creativity hasn't been beaten out of them yet. It's wild. They're critical thinkers. They're able to weigh things out. They're able to juxtaposition. They're able to say, if I buy this, I can't do that. But if I buy this, it helps me get here. And by doing here, it gets me there. And by doing there, I get not only that, but I get this, this, and this too. Right? They're critical thinkers. They're planners. They're strategic. They're learning so many practical life skills versus just the kid that goes to college. Oh, yeah, the kid in college, he's like, well, I got to go to first 101 classes to go to 202, and then 202 to 303, and then intern and co-op to be able to do 404, and then be able to graduate, and then to get my internship into a real job. Yeah, that's about the level of strategic thinking that they're going to put into it. Doesn't seem very critical. Doesn't seem very creative to me. Seems like going through the motions. Here's the career path. And by the way, one other quick tip. You want to know why so many kids at 18 that don't have a clear path laid out for them struggle? And they're aimless and they wander or they're afraid. Let me give you another quick, for instance, so many kids graduate high school at 18 and they're so fearful because they don't know the next chapter of their life, the next phase, the next thing. So by default, they typically go to college. And all they did was prolong that experience another 5 years to where they graduate college and they're like, oh my God, I'm afraid. I don't know what to do. Because they've never been able to be critical thinkers or make decisions. Now they're 23 and so 22 and they're graduating. So what do? You know what? Job market's tough. Economy's tough. Any BS excuse will sell. So what do? They say, I'm going to go back and get my master's degree, right? 3 more years of that. They're 26, 27. After that, I'm going to go get my PhD or whatever. I didn't go down this route, but I'm going to get my PhD. Now they're 29 or 30 years old. They've never worked a real job. Then the college professor says, hey, we have an opening here. We can get you on the staff. That's the scheme of academia. Would you like to be a professor? Sure.
Lawns, landscaping, and outdoor awesomeness, that's what your business does best. Managing your vehicles and optimizing efficiency with the latest technology is what we do best. GPS Track It provides a 24/7 view of where your company vehicles are and how efficiently they're operating, saving you time and money. With more than 12,000 customers, GPS Track It has delivered peace of mind for lawn and landscaping companies for 20 years. Ready to protect your vehicles and save money? Talk with one of our fleet advisors. advisors. There's no pressure, no hassles. Call 833-385-0252 or visit gpstrackit.com/BrianLM to learn more. Those details are in the show notes. GPS Track It.
They've never worked a job. They've never created anything. They've never been a productive member of society. All they did was, go through the loop of education and academia. Now they're 30, and then your little cherub son or daughter is 18, is going to go to Michigan State University and learn from somebody who's 32, that's never ran a business, never done anything productive, never built anything. Now is going to do a lobotomy session on your kid for the next 4 years about whatever values and beliefs they have. And by the way, where is that parent or where is that teacher getting paid from? Where is that professor getting paid from? The state, the government, or they're getting paid from the university. What's their incentive? Keep kids coming. Keep kids coming. Keep the bureaucracy growing. They're going to take all the state dollars, all the tax dollars, all the federal dollars. They're going to reinvest it into these teachers. And what are the teachers going to tell them? Hey, capitalism sucks and big government's better. And it's just a feedback loop. Dude, come on. Nobody listening to this can't tell me that you haven't seen this with your own eyes the last 30, 40 years. And again, I saw a great meme once. It's like, I don't know what to do with my kids, so I'm going to send them to school so school can teach them what to do. Then they get out of school and those kids don't know what to do. Wait a minute. Let's say that again. I don't know what to do with my kids because I went to college. So I'm going to send my kids to school so they can go to college, so they can get out of college and not know what to do. So the same system that didn't prepare you for life, you're going to send your kids to the same school of thought for them to be what? Where you were just 8 years ago, 20 years ago, 20 years ago before you had your kids? You're going to entrust them to the same institutions that didn't prepare you for life, thinking that they're going to prepare their son or daughter for life. I think it was Einstein or somebody said the definition of success or insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. That sounds pretty insane to me. Again, who am I? I'm just a dude. I'm just another dude. I'm a dude disguised as a dude playing another dude. Okay. Really quick. The critical thinker. Sorry, that's what my brain does. Last thing I put here is they're pro-America and they're capitalists. They're not entitled little brats. None of these kids I interviewed were entitled little brats. They, for real, listen to me. They all offered to take me out to dinner. They all offered me bottles of water. They all were generous. They were all so grateful. They were all so excited. They all wore Americana brands and Carhartt, which isn't an Americana brand anymore. But anyway, they wore Carhartts and work boots and American flags and American hats and had American tattoos and had Americana signs and, Lucas Oil or whatever, little metal signs in their little shops and their little barns and their little sea containers. They drove their Ford trucks, their Chevy trucks, their GM trucks. They were happy. They were they were just pro-America. They were pro-free enterprise. These kids could recite to you the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, these kids were just awesome little dudes. And then they're 15, 18, 20, but I'm 36. I call them little dudes now. But they get it. None of these kids were at some rally saying capitalism sucks. These kids are waving red, white, and blue. They understand who to vote for and understand how to vote. And and by the way, they weren't all like wealthy little Republican kids. Okay, they have a lot of conservative values to them. I'll tell you that. But that doesn't mean that they all came from those environments by default. Okay, so it's wild. But man, I'm telling you what, they just appreciate the opportunity to own their own business. Okay, that's the cool thing. So anyway, I'm not here to say go to college, not go to college. I'm not here to say start a lawn care business, don't start a lawn care business. What I am here to say is encourage your kids if they're showing interest in a business of their own. Here's one thing that I'll tell. I got a message for the kids that are listening, and I got a message for the parents. Parents, your job is, of course, to not raise kids, to raise adults. Okay, your role, your goal, my goal, my mission is to encourage them in whatever they want to do. Give them some good suggestions, give them some good feedback, give them some good thought process, be honest, tell them the truth. Raise adults, not raise kids in due time, of course. But you want to see them win, succeed, and all this other mess. That's fair. I get it. That is totally open, available, and acceptable for them to start a business of their own and still be successful, or even in the trades. It's not college or bust. And I'm not saying college or bust is what parents are saying, But this whole backup plan, and I don't know if my kid needs to be digging ditches. He loves doing it. Just because you don't see it or you don't get it doesn't mean that he or she doesn't. And there's not a future or a career or a business for them in the green industry. Teens, kids listening in, you guys, 15, 18, 20, your job is to make me right. Your job is to prove me right. Your job is to deliver. If you sell your parents the dream that you want to finance a mower, buy something, store all this crap in their shed, their garage, you don't want to go to college, and then you haul off and do nothing after spinning the dream and saying that you're going to do all these great things and you haul off and do nothing, shame on you. Okay, for real, shame on you. You're better than that. You can do more. You can do a lot more. I was telling this one lady at a Quip Expo, this trade show, and I told the kids that. I said, you guys don't want to do anything that your parents or your mom is suggesting. They're like, no, not really. I said, fine. Okay, you guys all settle it. It's up to, your family dynamics. By the way, if you're young, you're still living at home, respect your parents. You live in their house, their rules, okay? You need to honor them, just straight up. If they say no, let them know that this is important to you. Give them some examples. Show them the Teenager Tour playlist on YouTube. Show them the playlist on the podcast. It was July and August for 6 weeks in a row on Monday. Show them. Maybe they don't know. Maybe your parent is a very successful doctor or lawyer or corporate America person, and they just don't believe. They just don't get it. They just don't know. They don't know what they don't know. I had a friend who was on the tour. His parents are very successful, like Hermes bags and this and that, like very successful. Not that that's success, but you know what I'm saying? They're very, very wealthy. A lot of you guys know who I'm talking about. This kid drives an F-150 and he's digging holes in the ground. His parents are like, we just don't get it. I'm like, you won't. You probably won't. You guys, your meal ticket in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s was college, corporate. And they've done very well for themselves. But this kid does not want to go down that route. He's like, well, my parents are going to pay for my college. I said, at a very prestigious school. And I said, how much are they paying for college? And he's like, I don't know, probably $200,000. I said, can you get a cash out option? Like, hey mom, if I don't go to school, instead of the $200,000 that you're going to spend in my college, can I get $100,000 and I go buy a dump truck and a skid steer? And the kid and I were laughing. And I said, that sounds like a pretty good deal. Kids, if you're listening in, your guys' role, your guys' job is to prove me right. Prove yourself right. It does take work. It takes a lot of work, a lot of effort. It's not something for nothing. It's not overnight success. It's going to take 1, 2, 5, maybe 10 years to really ramp this thing up and make good money. But you know what? How many more Christians of CNIs can I show you? How many more Ethan Hammonds can I show you? How many more Henriks and Gabes and the Jakes can I show you guys that if you want to really work hard and put your nose to the grindstone in 2, 3, 4 years, you can chisel out this $150,000, $250,000 a year business and make $40,000, $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year profit. It's so available. It's not even funny. And maybe you want to make more than that. That's fine. This is your first business. This is your seed money business. Take this and go start a restaurant. Take this and go start some batting cages. Take this and go franchise a Jimmy John's. Take this and go buy some single family rental properties. Do whatever you want to do, but you can have a cash flowing green industry business, a lawn and landscape, a snow business in just a couple of years, 4, 5, 10 years tops. It's so available to you. But don't spin the dream for your parents. Tell them you're going to, cast off college and then at 19 be playing video games and Xbox, living in your parents' house. That's not my message. Okay. When you were a child, you did childish things. When you became an adult, you put away with childish things. By the time you turn 18, if not sooner, the age of maturity, you better start getting away from pure entertainment type only stuff. The video games and the hanging outs and all the just buying shoes or clothes or stupid stuff you don't need. It's a horrible thought process. You don't need any of that mess. You need to work. You need to be productive. You need to build. You need to build assets. You need to invest in the assets. You need to build a future, right? You need to dig your well before you need it. And by the way, your parents that you shared this podcast with you too, because you thought I was going to just stick it to them. You know what? Your parents have a lot of wisdom too. Okay. So heed a lot of the stuff they're saying because they're going to give you suggestions based on what they did do and they didn't do. And they're going to give you the best advice that they can as well. But here's the thing. You might have to take care of those parents, right? You might have to take care of the parents listening in. Okay. Somebody asked me once, like, how many kids are you going to have one day? And I said, probably 4. They said, oh, okay, that's interesting. I said, yeah, I'm going to name them 401 and K. 401K. I said, sometimes you guys got to listen in. Like, you're not just going to build it for you or for the diesel truck or for the skid steer or to buy nice watches or whatever your thing is. You want a lake house, okay? You might buy it because you might realize it's cooler employing your friends. It's cooler employing people. It's cooler providing jobs. It's cooler helping your local community, your local region, your local whatever. Build something that people can be proud of, that you can employ people, that you make enough money so that when your parent that you are just so at diabolical odds with right now, in 20 more years, when they have medicine that costs $800 a month, that didn't factor into their retirement, you can say, hey, no problem, Mom. No problem, Dad. I got you. I can take care of that because I became a millionaire through my lawn and landscaping business. Right? When your church wants to add something to the atrium or to the bowl, and it's $100,000 or $1 million, and you're that successful business owner, and not only have you been paying a tithe the whole time, but you can write a check for $100,000 or $500,000, or you can volunteer your time or services to refresh the landscaping there, or to lay asphalt, or do whatever you want to do because you got the manpower, the money, the time. That's why you become successful. Right? To give back to your church, to give back to your community, to take care of your family, right? Like, these are important things. So in which way? I could talk for a lot longer. I'm at an hour here. I just wanted to deliver a quick message to the parents. Like, these young kids, man, they are a different breed. And if you don't get it, that's fine, because I didn't get it either. But the more I get around them, the more I'm inspired, I'm encouraged, and I'm just realizing, like, these kids, there's a lot more to it. And this is them at 15, 18, 20. Imagine these kids at 20, 25, 30, 35. I joke with every single one of them I did the interview with. I said, hey, remember me when you're rich and famous and successful. I said, don't forget your boy. So when you get your helicopter and you get your Lamborghini and you got the 25 trucks and the 15 crews and you got the 80 guys working for you, remember your boy. Okay, remember who taught you how to sling some mulch. Remember who told you how to raise your rates $5. Remember the guy that gave you the motivation at 15 to go buy your first 36-inch stand-on mower. Okay, and I'm not done by any means, but I'm blessed to be part of these kids' lives. I hope that they're blessed being a part of my life and the content that we've been able to put out. Parents, I love you. If this was shared to you, if we can ever do anything for you, shoot an email, but keep encouraging these young guys and gals. There's a lot here in the green industry. The green industry is on the boom and it's on an upswing big time. So that's what I got for you guys today. This one's out of love, man. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Thanks for listening, and hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll catch up with you here on the next one.
Marty here with one more reminder before we wrap everything up, and that is about the Black Friday sales that are coming to L'EntrepreneurAcademy.com. Yes, our biggest, baddest, best sales of the year over that weekend of Black Friday through Cyber Monday. Make a little note on your phone, set a reminder to check out L'EntrepreneurAcademy.com for big savings.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.